DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AMA with DeFi Kingdoms. Lovely to be here, as always. And we are going to kick things off. Apologies for being a few minutes late getting started. And I am going to be multitasking a little bit during this AMA, but we're going to get it done and keep it locked in. First and foremost, Hubert, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm not too bad. My son got a cold and gave it to me, so I'm a little under the weather, but otherwise feeling pretty good. How about you?
Good to hear. I'm doing well. And Dreamer, how about yourself? How are you doing today?
I'm doing magical.
Ooh, magical. I like that. Okay. All right. We do have a couple of AMA bouts going on today. Winston is not with us today, unfortunately, but we have Mega and Kurt Hokage fighting it out in the currently on the docks. So huge shout out to the two of them. Thank you very, very much. Looking forward to watching these two battles. The first one has already started. The second one is set to start in a few minutes. So make sure you get in there and get your votes in if you have not already. Very exciting. Very excited to watch these two battles. We really only have one update this week. However, it's a pretty fun one. So I am pressing the go button on a tweet right now. That tweet is now live. I'm going to grab the link over to it. It has a nice little video attached, and we're going to play that video here as well. That said, even if you watch the video here, please go to our Twitter and retweet, comment, share, all of that fun stuff, and help support that tweet for us. But in the meantime, let's take a look at this video of what's coming up. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The wizard is approaching. I'm going to hand it over first to Hubert. Hubert, anything you want to say on this topic?
I didn't realize we were just coming right out of the gate with that.
Not wrong today.
Well, surprise, surprise. I'm sure nobody at all thought it was going to be Wizard. Like, no person had any clue whatsoever that Wizard was going to be the next class, I'm sure. Absolutely. But yeah, it's finally come. It's been a long time coming. We've had a lot of things to focus on with PvP launch and things, tied to what we're doing on Metis. Kind of, put extra classes on the back burner for a long time. But that has kind of shifted now, and we're getting pretty close to having, I think Wizard dialed into a good spot. I will say it's quite different than like what the codex that's out there right now is. Like most of the skill names haven't changed, but a lot of how Wizard works has adjusted after playtesting and all this stuff. So I think overall it's for the better. Should be pretty interesting to use. We're still like finishing things up and making sure everything's nice. But overall, I'm just really excited to have another class going, and I think that's going to really shake up the PvP meta and should give people more options for what they can use for hunts and different things. The Wizard has some pretty interesting play styles attached to it, so make some certain things easier, certain things are still challenging, and it comes with its own unique challenges as well. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I particularly think it's awesome how much of a surprise this is for everybody, since they had no idea what class was coming next. I'm excited for them to now know. Uh, Dreamer, any thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, man, I'm curious what everybody's favorite wizard is. We got Lord of the Rings wizards, we got Harry Potter wizards. There's a right choice there. Whether Gandalf is better than little old tiny sad Harry, but whatever. Gandalf the goat. Gandalf reminds me a lot of Wandering Ogre as well. I see some Wandering Ogre wizard cosplay in the future. And then maybe there are some Harrys in the future. I don't know. But anyway, I'm excited for Wizard, and I think it's really cool that when we were looking at the initial codex and started putting it into like build and testing and everything, the game team took a step back and they're like, all right, this was good work on the initial design. We want it to be punchier, we want it to be more fun, and we want it to flow in a more interesting way. So there's a ton of work done, and this was a work that wasn't anticipated to make sure that this class was awesome. I think every class that we've released, there's been a tremendous amount of care and intention, so that when it comes out, that I think at one point we said no class left behind. I think we've been really successful with that. We have a lot more classes to do, and we're doing them one by one. But holy cow, this is awesome. I think in the trailer it said, battle will never be the same. That's true. People are going to speculate now what the best composition is, but really, as the more classes that come out, there shouldn't just be one god composition. There will start to develop overall counters and different strategies, and we'll adjust it as we go. There will always be a meta. We'll see how Wizard fits in there in PvP, but definitely going to be a lot more active heroes in patrols and in hunts. That's super exciting. And there are a lot of people out there with some pretty baller wizards. Actually, StarCat realized that one of the first wizards, the OGest of wizards, a Gen Zero, actually is held by a pretty hardcore old fan, Ansem. So I don't know, maybe we'll get some Ansem interest. Who knows? Ansem, if you're out there, your wizard is now going to be freaking awesome and can do a lot of cool stuff. Hopefully you're excited for it, and we're happy to help you, get caught up on all the things that can be used now for the wizard. So cool trailer, awesome build, incredible team, maximizing that quality, and sometimes maximizing quality really extends the time. I feel like on this one, people worked multiple butts off to make sure that we can get this out, make it be quality, test it, over test it, and make sure that when this goes live, we're ready.
Was that multiple butts per person?
I don't measure butts in that way. I just measure aggregate butts. So you add up all the butts worked off, and they're multiple, greater than one.
That's going to be the new measurement, is how many butts each person worked off on a feature. So
If I
as
can butt in real quick here as well, noticing that Sticks Intern says something. I will mention that Sticks Intern does have one of the OG Gen Zeros that I think he got from Flu. And I was using that for some of the testing, and it's pretty strong. It's a pretty strong wizard, so better watch out for Sticks Intern.
I don't know, Sticks, maybe those are fighting words. Maybe you got to call out Ansem and do a wizard fight and see which one's better, I don't know.
I like it.
If only there was a way to compete with our heroes and
I know, right?
But Sticks, I don't mean to forget you. I should have known you had the OGest of wizards. I'm gonna go and work some buttons off.
Kudos to Kurt Hokage taking home the first of the AMA bouts. I am going to get the second one queued up real quick. While I do that, I just wanted to say on the wizard front, as mentioned, it is approaching. In the coming days, we will put out the updated version of the codex for that wizard. That said, we do have a champion tournament this weekend. It will not be a factor in that champion tournament. I just want to be clear, because I know people are planning for that tournament, and I don't want anybody to plan for a wizard that will not have a codex. So I feel like that's fair information to give. But I am very excited for that champion tournament coming up this weekend. So make sure you are getting ready and prepared either to play or to vote.
And I guess I'll say real quick also that when Wizard does come out, it's likely that we will have a few different tournament formats that are Wizard focused. So,
Hey, Bolon, I think you said that we have only one update, but I have a couple updates. Do you want me to squeeze those in now?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So I usually give updates on on the biz dev side and travel and things, what events we're gonna try to be at. Man, some busy weeks coming up in terms of the crypto conferences. I don't know why people always do this. They just like overlap them like crazy. We have been continuing to focus on opportunities to minimize cost and spend in a lot of this travel, and this is no different. In Dubai, they are having token. Credit Combat will be there. I will be there. It would be a lot of interesting meetings because I've never been there. There's a whole group of people that don't come to the US conferences that show up at this one. And we have some things working in the background that will be interesting to talk about there. So super excited. Karate Combat's going to be awesome. There's an IFC fight as well. So we're going to be at Token Dubai. A lot of travel, but it will be worth it. Next month, there are a ton of things happening. I think Consensus in Canada, not going to that. But there's a Avalanche Summit happening. If you are wanting to go to London, I do believe tickets are on sale, and I think we might even have like a discount code. They're not. It seems like they're not doing a lot of like giveaway tickets. But if you want to go, I'd probably snag a ticket. There will probably be a price increase or two. I'm guessing. Don't know for sure. Just guessing. But if you are interested, we will probably be able to get a discount code if we don't have one already. Bolon, do we have one already?
We do not at the moment, no. But tickets are on sale and they will go up in price. It's actually listed on the website that they will go up in price. So definitely snag one sooner than later if you are planning on attending.
And then, Zealous, tips, man, will be awesome. I don't want to go to jail, but if you have tips on fun and everything, send them over. It'll probably be pretty quick. But anyway, so Avalanche Summit in London. I'm trying to see if I can go to that. We're looking at different options there, but will be very important, hopefully, to show up there. And then Vegas Bitcoin Conference. It's going to be interesting. First Bitcoin conference after kind of the election and everything. The last Bitcoin conference was later in the year, last year, in Nashville. And I saw some awesome folks in DFK community there, Ogre, Zealous, and others. This one will be in Vegas, and I don't know what's going to happen. Trump came to the last one, so did RFK. So we'll have to see what goes on there, but looking to attend because I think, as mentioned in Dubai, some things we're working on the biz dev side. There will be a lot of interested parties there that we'll want to try to get meetings with and work with. So that's an update for me on some travel opportunity, continuing to work with partners on minimizing costs and getting collaborations and sponsorships to help with that. And going to do my best to probably be traveling more than I'm sleeping at some of these trips, or even more travel than actually being at the conference. But we'll do our best to represent and go from there. So, hold on, back to you.
Awesome. I am both jealous and also not jealous. But I know it's going to be a good time, and I know you're going to represent us well. So very much appreciated for all of the travel that you are doing and are about to be doing. Hubert, wanted to jump back to you for a moment to talk tournaments and Wizards, not the champion tournament, but other tournaments.
So with Wizard coming out, I just was wanting to say that we will likely have other formats that are Wizard focused. So you might want to start planning ahead now, having some ready for that, just so we can really kind of force you guys to try out that new meta. And I think we have like the melee mosh pit right now. We may have like a mage's menagerie. I don't know what kind of word to use to make that sound cool, but we may do something like that too. So just be on the lookout for that when it comes.
Very, very nice. Awesome. Well, a couple more updates than I had originally hinted at, but that's okay. We're here for exactly that reason. But with that, we are going to roll into some questions. The first question we're going to toss to Dreamer. He may not be able to stick around for the entire AMA, so we wanted to go ahead and get this one over to him. So, Dreamer, after this, if at any point you have to drop, do what you got to do. But first question goes to you, sir. Wondering if you guys could share more about sustainability of flow of funds and grants, financial health of the project, etc.
Haven't heard this one before. JK, very good question, very important to ask frequently, and we always try to do our best to be as transparent as possible, keeping in mind a lot of things related to funding and grants and so on are highly confidential, so we try to do our best around that. But good question and very well timed, actually. So a little over a year ago, we did how many? I don't know, it's our third grant deal with Metis, and have been in the middle of that build. I'm sure you guys are all very well aware. And that's been our primary focus as it relates to funding outside of like monetization through the game, which we're always very cautious of any downside pressure and things in collecting our own tokens and monetizing them. So this has been an amazing deal. Shout out to Bolon, Sunbear, and all the folks at Metis. And we've split it out over 3 different major releases with some minor and kind of medium minor major releases in between them. So the third, I'll just call it milestone, is where there's observable inputs on chain and in our build that unlock the last like pay amount. The market's been insane, guys, in terms of prices, which we don't talk about a lot publicly, but everybody's aware. Those prices are impacted by macroeconomic events, political events, regulatory speculation, tariffs going on, traditional markets moving. And when that happens, there is a potential of inability or unwillingness to follow through on commitments. So that's been in the back of our mind. And as we've been moving forward with the build that we promised and delivering much more than that, I'm happy to report we're well on track. We did our report to the folks at Metis where things are pretty close to release. So well, I won't share too many details, but anyway, it's testable. And looking at the contract, we reported, and boom, we got paid our final milestone payment from Metis this week amid everything going on in the market. So, 10 years in risk management, I always think about worst case scenario. I think it's healthy, but sometimes it's unnecessary stress. You just never know what's going to happen. But that's a huge win as it relates to runway in a very, very volatile time in the space. And I think it's because I don't know if everybody has access, and Bolon, cut me off if I'm not supposed to say anything, on-chain things happening on Metis. But man, we've been doing a good job as a community, as a team, and as a overall publisher of this incredible game. The partnerships with YGG, the various systems that we have live, patrols, tournaments, it's moving the chain, and they are seeing it and very, very happy with it. At the height of our activity in the middle of like gap season and tournaments and everything, we are definitely number one. I think they even have been public about that in recent posts and everything. So as it relates to runway, we are always looking at inputs of like, what do we have in, what do we have in the queue, what's our burn, what's the market doing. So it's impossible to give you like, this is the number of days or whatever. And in the past, when things have been negative, we've adjusted our burn to extend runway. And when things got better, we've increased our burn to increase the build rate. So that's a major update this week related to this question. Hope people are happy with that. I'm very proud of the team through this over a year partnership now. With multiple things up in the air to get things like this done, where we are paid on time and everybody's happy. It's great, good momentum, and we have some other things cooking in the background as well, because we have been throwing lines out for a while now to continue to look at growing our footprint in the space and growing our community, our partnerships, and always thinking about runway and profitability. Bolan, did I miss anything? Anything that I should be adding, or is that good?
Nope, I think that was awesome. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate the update. All right. And with that, real quick, actually, before I go to the next question, I just wanted to give a shout out both to Mega and Kurt Hokage. Kurt's got the double octo hoods going on. Mega's got the double swearing hats, and it just makes me happy. I like it. It looks great. But also, this match has been quite entertaining and interesting to watch. Hopefully, you're all keeping up with it. The smoke bomb, putting in some work there on the defensive side. Yeah, this one is still anybody's game. All right, we're gonna move into some Hubert questions as always. So Hubert, I hope you're ready. Can we discuss or talk about the logic behind needing to pledge heroes in order to patrol?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, with patrols, we we don't. There's not a fee to do it like there is with hunts. Other than the fee is essentially like pledging the heroes. The bannerman system in Metis is I think a pretty good system for us to like be able to commit heroes to not summoning and not doing profession quests. So I think it has there's something you're missing out on by pledging your heroes there, but at the same time that lets you do patrols, which does have its own unique loot available, and is a good way to like be leveling up lower level heroes as well. Plus, that's something that we're going to continue to expand upon as time goes forward. So yeah, that's kind of the idea there. I think alternatively, if we didn't do the pledging, we probably would have included some sort of fee to do it. So I think this approach works pretty well. But yeah, I suppose if it's not well received, we could always consider changing it. But yeah.
Awesome. Makes sense to me. With Divine Essence coming, we will be able to re-roll a hero's last level up as long as it is fresh, as long as they've not gained XP. If I have a hero right now that just leveled up and I leave it until Divine Essence releases, will I be able to redo its last level up, or will it only work for those level ups that happen after Divine Essence is introduced?
Yeah, it should work. You should be able to re-roll that level up as long as they don't have any XP. So yeah, we've had the kind of the tracking system required for that to work in place for quite some time now. Maybe like the past, I can't even remember. It's maybe been at least 8 months since it's been put in place. So yeah, if you have any heroes that you just leveled up or leveled up within the past 8 months and haven't touched since, they would all be able to re-roll.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Any concern on the amount of content that requires leveling up to get there, such as tournaments or hunts, and any thoughts on decreasing the amount of time it takes to level heroes to get to that content?
Yeah, so let's see. I mean, hunts is at level 10 for the first one, level 12 for the second. Patrols, you can start at level 1. Tournaments, we have, some tournaments are at level 5, which getting to level 5 doesn't take too much time. But getting to level 20 is a challenge. I think as we just continue to develop things, if we introduce new hunts, we introduce more content, like higher level patrols, for example, there will be more sources of experience available just through playing with gameplay. But also, there's a kind of a delicate balance there between, we don't really want everyone to have level 20s like easily, because then there becomes like a huge push for us to increase the level cap, which we're really not in a good spot right now to be doing that. I think we need to be getting more classes out and be fleshing out this lower tier of gameplay first before we go that far. We still, like, as far as equipment goes, we only have equipment that goes up to level 12. We don't have anything higher than that at this point. So I was noticing like with level 20 fights, there's a lot of HP and the damage. Those fights kind of drag on longer just because there's a lot of HP and not a whole like any new weapons that are kind of designed to be doing so much extra damage, or even armor that is like making their damage reduction kind of comparable to what you have at like level 10 or level 6. So there's kind of steps along the way that we need to go still. But yeah, I guess with that said, I think, like with how it is right now, it does make it so like a level 20 hero is valuable because of the effort it takes to get to level 20. If we were to adjust that too much, then, that the value of level kind of can disappear or become far reduced. And so it's kind of a delicate balancing act when every hero is something that can be, bought and sold. I'm not too keen on like doing any drastic changes, but for those that have been doing tournaments, you probably have noticed that you can get some pretty good experience from those as well. And with hosted tournaments coming up too, there are more opportunities for there to be more tournaments. And those do provide experience as well, kind of depending on how they're set up. I'd just say, be on the lookout for those. And, as we continue to add more content, I think we'll just continue to give more sources of experience. But yeah, not really looking to make any huge changes to how it works right now, just kind of incrementally increasing things as we add more content.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Congratulations to Mega, the victor of our second AMA bout, bringing today's tally to 1-1. We will have to have a third round showdown with you gentlemen at some point and find out who gets to claim the winner title. But huge shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for doing those bouts and participating so that we could stream them here live during the AMA. And in true AMA style, it ends in a 1-1 tie. It feels like Winston is here. Back to questions, still on you for the moment, Hubert. Any thoughts on releasing a primitive crafting system without the need of lands and pets to work initially, giving crafters some basic useful items to start making?
Yeah, I think it's, that's tough. Like if we were to release something that's primitive or, not what the final design is intended to be, it kind of creates this reworking that we need to do at the point when we're ready to implement the rest of everything. It's possible that we can kind of set up things in a poor way where, things kind of scale poorly, and, we kind of have to just live with whatever environment we create in the process of doing that. Plus we would need to, introduce a whole bunch of new ingredients and whatnot. I think it all just kind of has to come in its own time. We do have kind of right now a primitive crafting system with like the alchemist, and when durability comes out, there will be also a kind of NPC version of enchanting available. But when we get to using heroes for that, I think it's going to be a pretty, like, I just want to do it all in one big effort, get it all there, get land functionality going, and have everything in place where we have new sources of the material you need, like wood and ore and different things that you would use for crafting equipment, and kind of have it be a big facelift for the whole game, because like incremental small pieces, it's not as easy as it sounds, and it does create a lot of extra work that we could just have that time dedicated to actually implementing the whole system, which I think would be more efficient for us.
Nice. Thank you. Let's see. This next question, actually, I am going to take it. Currently, you are not able to share a link directly to a tournament page in the game. Is this something that we are discussing, particularly in relation to the hosted tournaments, so that you could share links straight to your tournament? Yes, it is something we are discussing. It's something that we're looking at to see if it would be something we would be able to include in the release of them. So we'll see how that is able to progress. But it is definitely something that we're taking a look at and seeing if we can get that knocked out as well. All right. Jumping back to you, Hubert, for a moment. Thoughts on lowering the fee for the Void Hunt, which actually we just referred to a minute ago.
I mean, let's see. So right now, I guess with the value of crystal, it's what, about 6 cents to enter at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't like if we were to reduce it by half, for example, and make it about 3 cents in value. Like, I'm not sure that's really going to change people's behavior that much. But maybe, I guess. But it also just means that there's less crystal like flowing through the the economy, flowing to the quest fund. We would have with like even with the daily like 1,000 crystal jackpot, like a portion of that, or really intent is for like the entry fees to pay for that, which is generally the case. But if we were to reduce the fees, then maybe we would need to reduce that jackpot as well. Otherwise, it kind of be a net negative. So I generally don't know that it's it's an idea that I'd like to pursue, honestly. There's also kind of just the value of the equipment that you get from hunts is kind of tied to the cost of like getting it. So I think reducing that could reduce the value of those things as well, potentially. I think there's a lot of knock-on effects if we did that. And as far as like things go with costs now versus in the past, I think hunts are cheaper than they've ever been at today with like the current economic situation. So I mean, in a way, the cost has gone down already. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Awesome. Thank you for the insight there as well. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to take the next couple of questions. I'll give you a little break. Easter would have been an awesome time to have an egg hatching event. Thoughts, stimulate the economy, player engagement. Any thoughts on that? So yeah, I mean, Easter eggs, they go hand in hand, right? This particular time we have done the Shelmet, which actually this is the first AMA since we introduced that. We probably should have talked about that. I feel like it's been longer. But before we circle back to that, so we're doing the Shelmet event in Patrols and Hunts for Gaia's Song, which is our annual in-game event. I do think that there are some other opportunities to have some events coming up. Maybe one of those will be an egg hatching event. But yeah, we try to do events at least somewhat regularly. We have a couple of annual ones at this point. Gaia's Song, which is around Easter, and then we've done a Halloween event for the past few years as well. But we also have some other opportunities coming up that could coincide with an in-game event. I'm going to pause there and go back to the Shelmet for a moment. I really thought it had been more than a week since we released that, but it definitely has not. So the Shelmet accessory is currently available in both hunts and patrols. Each of the two void hunts have a 10% chance of dropping a Shelmet, and the patrols have a 2.5% chance when you complete all 3 stages. There are some other fun facts about the Shelmet, but there's actually a couple questions about them. So I'm not going to go into those just yet. But on the general topic of Shelmet, Hubert, anything you want to add?
On the Shelmet?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty cool item, I think. I'm not sure if anyone's found like the rarest bonus on them yet. I haven't been able to keep too many tabs on what's been discussed so far, but I did see someone got the second tier at least for one of those bonuses. We did try something similar to like how we've done with the secondhand pants with this one, where there are different colors available. A primary and secondary color. There's 8 different options, and one of the options is a rare option. It's a 2% chance for that. And the rest of them are all even besides that, so it's like 14% chance per other color. So there should be a lot of variability out there. Like to see what kind of combos people come up with, see which color is the best. And yeah, that, like, I think, Bolin, you said that's going to be going on for about 30 days since we started, so it's down to like 25 days now, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awesome. Yeah, go get your shelmets. It's been super fun seeing them be found and seeing all the different colors pop up. There has been a 5% found as well.
So yeah, it looks like one has been found then. So yeah, 5% is the max. I think it's like a 1 in 1,000 chance for that, and there's 2 different bonuses on that shelmet. So like the rarest would be 5% on both, which would be pretty hard to come by, but maybe.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple of them pop up with at least one black. I don't think I've seen a black on black yet, though.
Yeah, that would also be. Wouldn't that be crazy? 5% on both plus double black.
Oh my god, that's
the
a go
ultimate
buy a
shelmet.
lottery ticket. Awesome, thank you. There are a couple shelmet related questions, so we'll likely circle back for a moment on that. But yeah, I meant to include that in the updates, but I thought we had talked about it last week, but I was wrong. Next question, which I'm going to take before we jump back to Hubert. I'm going to summarize this question with kind of the end of it, which summarized it for me. Duels has always been said to be a mini game, but today there are still a lot of rewards going out through duels. Do we have plans to change this? So this is something that we've talked about in some of our committees and will continue to talk about in the applicable committees. So we are going to actually be surfacing this in our next tokenomics meeting, and then we will circle back with more information for you. With that, I'm going to jump back over to you, Hubert. Thoughts on more gold utility for PvP by adding gold as part of the entry fee to other tournaments, daily skirmishes, the Weekend Warrior, some, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that is something we could do. For the time being, we've just been kind of focusing the gold cost into the gold rushes, but it was something that we discussed as well as like maybe we should have gold being everything, or if we end gold rush, maybe we should move it so that there's gold, like a gold qualifier on it on all the tournaments as well. So definitely something we could do, and something we've discussed and something we may still do, but so far we haven't.
Nice. Thank you. Let's see. Question about DPS balance. So the crux of the question is kind of around like Archer being the highest damage dealer, and in this case, comparing it over to Berserker, being able to achieve those same damage numbers. So any thoughts on the reasoning behind how that kind of plays out in the Archer v Berserker case?
Yeah, I think Archer is kind of like a fast burn class. It uses up its MP quickly, and it once it's out, it's basically pretty useless at that point. Berserker is kind of a different beast entirely, where it's more of a slow burn class, where it gets up to max attack bonus and kind of runs on autopilot. Like it's harder to get an attack burst that you can achieve with Archer with Berserker, but when it does get to that endpoint, like its sustained hits are generally much heavier than I think what if you average things out, it has a balance there. But yeah, you're not getting the big blasties. You're getting the just consistent heavy hits that do cause people to backpedal. I've seen Berserkers perform pretty well in a lot of different tournaments. But they're also unpredictable, so they're not always they sometimes will just turn against you. But with that said, like also like explosion berserkers, for example, like those were so powerful that we had to kind of tone explosion down a bit, just because of that too. So I mean there are ways to get more out of the berserker. It's maybe not as straightforward as it is with Archer, and maybe Archer will continue to need some adjustments as we continue to balance things. But it's also, we don't want every class to operate exactly the same either. So I think people having that variability and trying to work around how each class works, I think creates what's interesting about the game in the first place. So, but we'll keep balancing as we, if we feel like one class or any skill or whatever is too strong or too weak, we'll just continually be adjusting as we introduce more and more.
Balance is forever. Let's see, these next couple actually I'm going to take again. With tournaments that are canceled, do we have plans to redistribute the prize money that was originally allocated? Yes is the short answer. So, we've already done some of that with continuing the gold rush, with adding Patrollers Limited, although admittedly that's a smaller draw. So we're already doing some of that like as we go by adding different tournament types, different tournament structures, that kind of thing. Our overall intention is to use the entire prize pool that was allocated for this 6-month tournament series in this 6-month tournament series. Is there a reality where we don't quite get there? Of course there is. If we do not, then that money will be reallocated to the next tournament series. So all of those funds are, fully earmarked for player rewards and will be used for player rewards. But yes, within the tournament series, like we do want to, try to get as close to what we set the expectation of as we can. So that's why we are continuing different tournaments, adding different tournaments, revamping some prize structures here and there as we go, to keep adjusting and keep improving is the ultimate goal. Which along those lines, actually, the next question, would any significant tournament system changes have to be made once this current series concludes? And if so, could there be some form of survey/polls involved to get a better understanding of what existing players have and how they want to participate? So I'm going to talk about the first part of that first. Yes and no. Massive overhaul we would probably prefer to do between series, but it doesn't absolutely have to be. We can make adjustments, and that's why everything we put out says that adjustments can be made. So we are making adjustments in real time as we go. I think pretty much every week since we released tournaments, we have made some tweaks and adjustments, and we'll continue to do so. Some of those may be bigger changes. They may not be. And then, yes, between series is really when we could, completely go nuts and just do something entirely different for the next series. But that can happen during if it needs to. On the second part, as far as surveys and polls go, I'll be honest, I feel like a lot of that is what Discord's for. So we get really good and often conflicting feedback from all of you in Discord, which is very much appreciated. We want that feedback. We need that feedback. So please do keep that feedback coming. As far as surveys and polls go, like directly, it actually gets more complicated than a kind of free-for-all feedback in Discord, which is amusing. But we don't know necessarily who's doing the polls or surveys. So like if we use the governance system, for example, obviously the governance system is weighted based on your asset holdings, but also that doesn't necessarily mean that you play PvP. So, you could have somebody with more voting power than anybody else vote for an option, but that person only holds, Sigil. They don't have any heroes, but they still have more voting power than everybody else. So it gets a little bit trickier when you formalize it, but it is doable. But definitely what Discord is for as well. Like I said, you guys have been giving us great feedback. That feedback has informed several of the tweaks that we've made. So definitely keep that side coming as well, because we want it, we read it, we see all of it. Hubert can tell you I bug him all the time. So keep it up. With that, I'm going to jump back over to Hubert, actually. Any thoughts on reasons to keep leveling heroes outside of PvP? Is the primary reason for future level gates for PvE, or what other potential reasons could there be?
I do plan on there being higher level hunts, for example, that require like level 15s or even higher potentially. So there is that, especially, not just with hunts, but patrols is also kind of a precursor to general PvE content in the game, where, patrols goes up to about level 10 right now. that could go all the way up to level 20, or something that, if we were to bring something like patrols to the other realms as well, we can have that be that way as well. And generally in RPGs, you'll see that, there's kind of a general progression of getting stronger, getting loot that is made for stronger heroes, and or material that you need to make better loot, things like that. So we're just trying to build up that whole progression right now. As it stands, it's we have what we have right now. We're going to keep adding to it, and I think there will be, as long as people are wanting to challenge that content, there will be eventually reasons for, or like content that requires level 15 or higher as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Where are combat pet bonuses on the short-term roadmap?
Yeah, good question. It's one of those things that like is on and off, again, being worked on. Like it kind of depends on what the needs are at the moment. But it has been like something that's, like, I could say even yesterday, I know that Typical was working on it. I also even added a bonus to the list, so there's like 78 now. But yeah, so they're it's coming along. I'd say in terms of like when it's going to come out, it's a little bit tricky because we have to test everything in there, and there's a lot. Looking at the list now, I think it has, let's see, so implemented looks like 40 of them, and then not implemented are 38. So we're over halfway there implementing them. The second step is then like actually testing everything and making sure we get the levels in a good spot so that we're not, releasing a bonus that's like too crazy, which there probably are some in there. Even when I look at this, sometimes like, did we do that? So yeah, I think it's going to be kind of, there's definitely going to be some work there as well to just make sure that this, that everything's good. There will be some really good pets out there, I think, and I guess the nice thing about pets is that they just need to be fed, and then they provide you the bonus. So they won't have durability issues, and they'll be your hero's little friend for as long as you let them be. So I'm really looking forward to getting that going. I was also kind of thinking about maybe tackling the contract side of re-rolling those bonuses sometime soon here, just so that we have that ready. But yeah, in terms of like when exactly it's going to be done, we have Wizard, I can now say, is very close to being done, but we still have some adjustments that need to happen there. We also have had some work on the next class that you guys can start speculating about, but we're already going in on that as well. And yeah, I think there's now that we're kind of getting to the end of our meta steal, kind of some things are opening up for our bandwidth, but we also may need to like make some decisions about like what we're doing for the future as well. So it's just kind of hard to say. We have to be adaptive, but it is something that I do continue to push on and do want to get that out since it impacts everything.
Most definitely. And you mentioned it, but I'm going to re-emphasize it. The testing on those will take some time because there are a lot of them. So bear with us on that front as well, post-implementation. But yeah, that's a really exciting one.
Yeah, fortunately, I think the testing, like some of them, like a lot of the bonuses are like increase one thing by some amount. So like a lot of them, I think we can be like, okay, all these are good. This one we need to tone down. This one feels weak. I think it's going to be kind of along those lines. But there are also like the activated abilities that are there as well. So those ones will take a little bit more time to make sure that they aren't like too crazy. We mentioned Berserker. Berserker is pretty good when it comes to doing anything that uses the power keyword, since they have just very high attack. And so that we'll probably be needing to test with Berserkers to see how strong some of these things are. But yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see. This next one, actually, I am also, oh, actually, sorry. What is one more for you, and then I'm going to take one. Sorry. What is, or can we share our opinion on how current rewards feel in patrols and hunts and duels? Apparently, so I guess very similar to the earlier question, but I don't know if you have any additional thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will be talking about this internally to see, if there's things that need to change. There are plans for additional reward systems and things, especially with durability coming soon. We're going to need to rethink some of the things that are in the game right now. But yeah, as it stands, I mean, we have the current season of duels is running. Nothing's going to change during this season, if anything's going to change at all. But we'll take that back and see see what comes out of discussion with our tokenomics committee.
Awesome. Let's see. So this one I am going to take. What is our feeling of seeing a seemingly clone pop up? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. There have been a lot of supposed DFK killers over the years, but we're still here and none of them are. So, I hope they're successful because I want more successful projects in the space, but we don't really see it as a threat. I mean, again, rising tide lifts all ships kind of deal anyway, of the more successful projects there are in the space, the better it is for the space. But as far as, them versus us, that's not really our mentality anyway. All right, let's see. I am going to snag a couple more questions because we're almost at the end, but we're also almost at the end of our question list. So real quick, Hubert, jumping back over to you. Would it be possible to auto-extend the tournament entry window by 5 to 10 minutes if there are 6 or 7 entries already committed? So essentially, like, if you're one person short, we've seen some tournaments cut very close and somebody was trying to fill it out but didn't get in time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could probably make something like that work. I would say, there's a 2-hour window that you guys could join, and I do know that a lot of people wait until the very last minute to do that. Maybe stop.
Maybe don't.
I don't know. Like, is it really giving you that much of an advantage to see what other teams are? Like, I think there's enough variability that it's like I don't know that it's really giving you an advantage. Like, really, I don't know. But yeah, I like, maybe we could do that. I don't like, it would kind of suck if it like kept happening too. Like, we'd need to add new trackers to make sure, like, how many times is this like, okay, we extended it once, now it's marked as having been extended once, now it won't extend the second time. Like, it does kind of require us to change the whole storage structure that we use for everything, so it's not like a trivial change. So I'd probably prefer to not do that, but maybe there's some other things we could do to encourage people to join sooner. I'm not sure what, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll think about that one.
Yeah, but also maybe don't, Are there plans to add lower level rare patrol weapons for wands or bows? The archers and seers don't currently have a drop for below level 10.
Yeah, that is true. I think we do have plans for expansions on the patrol system, so I think we will start to see more unique loot coming out of those. But yeah, I can't say, for sure when that'll happen. So I guess for the time being, it just, what's there is what's there. I think the archer is still pretty strong, even using like the gold shop gear. But yeah, definitely want to like continue to add things that are not currently droppable there as well. So yeah, anyway, we'll keep looking into it. And it's really just a matter of, I think, getting the expansion stuff for patrols going is kind of what I'd like to do. Because then we can have whole new loot tables and whole new like things that happen in patrols, which is really what I would like to see.
Nice. The last question, or actually the next last question, was about Shelmets. How many different color combinations, and is it possible to get higher than 3.5? I think we answered both of those earlier. You can get up to 5, though it's very, very rare. And there are 8 primary, 8 secondary, same colors for a total of 64 combinations. 7 of those colors have the same percent chance. One of them is more rare. Is that all correct?
Yep.
All right, cool. So I'm going to grab this last question because it's about something I was going to do anyway. Any hint on the new class coming out? Yes, there's a trailer now. Make sure you go like and retweet that on Twitter. Also, I'm going to play the video again here in just a second. But I wanted to ask the secondary part for you, Hubert. Are there any of the weapons used by the current 6 classes that Wizard can use?
I mean, Wizard can use both wands and staves. So yeah, they have access to that whole thing. That was what the question was asking, right? So
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's not like a new weapon type or anything specific to wizards. So
awesome. Well, I'm going to play this video one more time, and then we're going to do our sign off, and we will call it a day. But I love this trailer, and I want you all to see it again. Fantastic. Like I said, make sure you go and like and retweet that if you would be so kind. Also, like and retweet this stream on Twitter, like the video on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all of that good stuff. Click all the buttons, like everything. Thank you so much. As always, thank you everyone who has tuned in live, as well as everybody who will listen to this recording later or read the transcript. Thank you, Hubert, for coming up here and spending all of this time with me. Dreamer as well for being here earlier. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions for us to answer. As always, you can submit your questions at talk.defykingdoms.com or in the AMA questions channel in Discord. Please make sure you keep the questions coming. Otherwise, this will be a very lonely AMA, and Hubert and I will just talk about whatever we decide to. So make sure you get those questions submitted to us. Thank you so much, as always, for being a part of this journey with us. Make sure you tune in for the champion tournament this weekend, either playing or voting. Huge opportunity either way. And keep an eye out for some magical experiences coming your way, courtesy of the Wizard. Hubert, any final thoughts? And then I am going to leave it to you to give us the big ending.
Yeah, I mean, I watching that video, I just very much like the little wind-ups that we have for Wizard. I know that the Seer it's kind of a lot of the same stuff as Seer, but I think we added a couple new ones with like how they're twirling the wand. And you know, it's been a lot of work to get Wizard ready. Like it was our most complex class. It was actually like a little background into like when we were first designing that class. It's probably the hardest one for like Workhorse and I to get through because it took like 3 or 4 different iterations before we even came to like okay, we can do it this way. It's one of our most complex designs, and like after that point, it's like, hey, let's not make things more complex than Wizard. And then we came up with Summoner. So I think I don't know how well we did with that, but I think Summoner is just kind of an extension of that. But you know, it's coming. It's going to really shift things a lot. I think you know, I just warning this. We're doing our best to make it as balanced as we can launching it, but it's likely that there are combos of things that we haven't tried. You know, within PvP in particular, it's you know, things kind of play differently than they do when it's, you know, playing against PvE as well. So there may be some skills or something that are too strong or too weak, and you know, it'll just be a part of our whole balancing effort moving forward. But when we do release that codex and those changes that you see in there, you'll likely see those kind of be reflected when we get to the other classes that use arcane power, like Scholar and Summoner. because we did kind of shift things kind of significantly. Like the way unlock works is very different now, and some other pieces as well. So really looking forward to seeing you guys try that out. And really proud of our team for all the effort they've been putting into getting everything ready. Beetle has been doing so much work in the background in his cave, and we just keep giving him more and more to do, and he just keeps knocking it out. And it's just everyone on the team is just super great. So I am super bullish for the future. Thanks, guys.
Bullish. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.